How do you feel about subscription software? The rumor going around is that the next version of the Windows operating system, Windows 10, will employ some form of subscription payments. Either you'll pay a monthly fee to use it or pay a monthly fee for upgrades to a free version of the OS. How do you guys feel about paying every month or even every year to use software? Lewis, why don't you start us off?
For certain software, it works. Spotify, Rdio, Netflix, that's perfectly fine. The model works. But for an OS that I'm using every single day, no, no, no. I think if Microsoft takes the route of Windows 10 being subscription based, I think they will shoot themselves in the foot, and Google and Apple will gain a lot from it. Mostly Google, because I feel Google and their Chromebooks, they're starting to get momentum, and this might be the thing that just gives them that extra huge wave of new users.
But if you say that, paying for something, I didn't even think about Spotify as like a subscription service in that like software, but I guess it is. I mean, you're paying monthly. What sets it apart from that? I mean, you're paying a monthly fee and you're getting a service out of it. In fact, you could argue that you're getting even more out of it. You're getting a whole OS for a monthly subscription.
The fact that it hasn't been that way for so long and they're just switching it randomly, it just feels so, okay, why are you guys doing that now? I mean, they did that with Office 365, I
Right.
believe? And it seems to be working for them, I guess. You students get a discount, they get a free year or whatever, whatnot. But I don't know, just something about paying for your OS especially when like Chromebook is essentially giving their OS for free.
Right.
Apple, you buy one version, then the updates are free. It just feels like the competition with OSs right now. That's not the route you want to take. That's not the route Microsoft should take.
Yeah, I was wondering if it felt weird to me simply because it's just not how it was done. I mean, if you look at Photoshop did this, right? Like their whole suite of graphic software, and it seems to be working out for them. But by working out, I mean that everyone pays it because there's no alternative to Photoshop, and everyone complains about it. So maybe Windows is big enough to get away with this as well. Everyone will complain about it, but it'll still happen, and then the next generation will just think
There's
that.
other markets, though, especially coming off of Windows 8, which essentially was a bomb, a dud. To your next version, you're going to say, oh, it's subscription now.
Yeah, but see, maybe they can use it to spin to be like, well, it's a free version with subscription upgrades, or maybe they spin it to, because essentially the point of a subscription for something like this is to say you pay us a little bit every month and you always have the most up-to-date software, and we're always looking out for you, so there's no, you'll never be a generation behind. You're always up to date with it. Dan, what do you think about this whole thing? Are you going to pay for a subscription OS?
No, not for an OS. I mean, I'm definitely with Lewis on this because I subscribe to Spotify, and actually, the way I look at it, when I subscribe to a service like that, I'm paying for the stuff that I don't get, which would be like commercials and things like that that interrupt the flow of like music. For an OS, I can't see paying monthly for it. I mean, for utilities or for other things like that. But an OS, it seems counterproductive to continue to pay every month. If I skip a payment, I'm dead in the water. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder what that's like. Do they like instantly turn it off? And
I think so. I'll bet you there's one guy with one switch waiting for somebody to skip a payment so they can just pull that thing down.
Credit card denied.
Right, exactly. And I can't see having my OS crippled or shut down on a moment's notice. I mean, I right now we're kind of doing that in a sense when we buy an operating system. You pay $100 to buy Windows 8.1, and they're constantly updating, and you end up paying for it in the long run, just because of frustration and time and all that other stuff. Now, if they were willing to give like an unlimited subscription, like you pay once and it's forever, kind of like what TiVo did back in the early days, then that would make sense. But I can't see paying X amount per month for an operating system.
It didn't really work out for TiVo in the long run. I don't think they offer a subscription pack. I don't know. For me, it's like a psychological weird thing there. Even like if you look at Photoshop, if you look at how much you would have paid for the new version of it and to buy the new version every year when it came out, a subscription service at whatever they charge works out mathematically to be a savings, but it's just something where it's like, you know, everyone always says, well, renting is a fool's game. Like every year, every month, you're paying out a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And like you said, Dan, you stop paying and it's gone, you know?
Right.
And whereas I don't know, I'm okay with that when it comes to a music subscription because, like, okay, so I forgot to pay for my music subscription. I just can't
Right.
listen to an album this month. But it's like, if it declines my credit card that month and my OS goes down, like,
Yes.
a lot of my life is wrapped up into an OS, you know?
Right.
And so to keep paying for something that I never truly own and never have total access to, it's quite a proposition. And I mean, if anyone can do it, Windows can. They're so big that they're going to
Yes.
be like, what else are you going to do? You can't.
Right. I was
Yeah.
about to say that Microsoft could use its size to leverage everything out. You know, maybe bundle in Skype, maybe bundle in, what is it? What's the music
Right.
service? Xbox Music or something?
Yeah, or music.
Yeah, something like
Or
that.
Microsoft Music or whatever. I mean, like they have a ton of different software services that they can bundle in with Windows to make it seem a little bit
Right.
more of a deal. You know,
Right.
you're not just paying for the OS, you're paying for all this Microsoft ecosystem, whatever. But
Right.
I don't know.
Kind of taking like an Amazon Prime approach where it's like, oh, you're paying a lot for it, but look at all these
Right.
other little things
Yeah.
you get, you know?
Like I'd even be excited if they would include like a big upgrade to their OneDrive or something like that. Like, you know,
Right.
maybe you,
Right.
like 2 terabytes, 5 terabytes
Like-
of storage.
Right.
Think about it. Everyone has their ecosystem pretty tied up neatly. You know, Apple has their ecosystem very neatly. Android has their ecosystem very neat. But like Microsoft, which is probably like the biggest one of the biggest players here,
Right.
their
Yeah.
ecosystem's all over the place.
Right.
Maybe this is their way of like tying it all down.
Yeah, really put it all underneath one subscription banner, and maybe I don't know, maybe the sum is greater than the parts at that point. Well, that's our 2 cents. What's yours, viewer? Would you pay a subscription, a monthly subscription, to use an OS? What software would you pay a subscription for? Leave us your comments on how you feel about this in the section below. For DealNews.com, along with Luis Ramirez and Dan Ledbetter, I'm Jeff Summergy. Goodbye.